broke down crying.
A day after a jury acquitted her husband of assaulting a Border Patrol agent, we are hearing from Martin Diaz's wife. What she's saying about the not guilty verdict and what's next for her husband.
Wind picks up tonight. We have more rain and wind expected tomorrow before we dry out this weekend.
Plus, another round of ballots counted in yesterday's election. We'll take a look at key races and the Together Spokane initiative to see where they stand tonight. Good evening and thank you for joining us for the KREM 2 Night Report. I'm Mark Hanrahan. New tonight, the family of a man found not guilty for assaulting a Border Patrol agent is speaking out tonight, one day after the announcement. KREM 2's Connor McAvoy spoke with the wife of Martin Diaz to hear her thoughts about the verdict and next steps in the case. Connor?
Well, Kendall Diaz tells me she's relieved her husband was found not guilty. She adds the verdict is the end of one chapter in what she says has been an ongoing process for her husband to become a U.S. citizen.
A sigh of relief.
I immediately just broke down crying.
That's what Kendall Diaz says she felt after hearing a jury found her husband, Martin Diaz, not guilty of assaulting an ICE agent earlier this year. A Ring camera captured footage back in April. That's when authorities were trying to take Martin into custody on an immigration deportation order. He's been in federal custody from that time until Tuesday. The same day, Kendall and the rest of their family got to see him for the first time in months.
We got to take a couple minutes at the end, and Martin was able to come out and hug everyone. And so he did rounds where he hugged, me and his mom and members of our family and friends, everyone who was there to support. And that was just such a beautiful experience.
A beautiful experience she says follows the deportation order going into effect. She says Martin was immediately taken from federal custody to ICE custody as of Wednesday night. He's currently being held in the Kootenai County Jail, waiting to be transferred to an ICE facility in Tacoma, where eventually he will be deported to Mexico.
So my bag's packed. My husband's bag is packed. Our whole household is actually packed up and ready to go.
She's hoping the two of them will be in Mexico by Monday, depending on when authorities transfer him. She adds the order of removal makes it not possible for Martin to apply for a green card, saying they'll be asking the federal government to waive what would be a 10-year ban with this order so they can come back to the States in a year and a half.
The order of removal ensures that he is not qualified to apply for that. So if we did apply, he would get denied.
Despite having to leave the country, Kendall says her family's and community's support of her husband's case is giving her hope during her husband's deportation process. She hopes his story will help relate to others going through the same experience.
We're never going to stop fighting to be reunited with our families. The immigration system currently is not set up for success. And I would love to be able to continue that work and continue in the immigration process.
Kendall tells me they're anticipating him being transported from Kootenai County to Tacoma by Friday, but says she won't know for sure until it happens. Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
All right, Connor, thank you very much. Let's switch gears and talk weather on this Wednesday night with Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo. He is joining us in the Outdoor Weather Center. There it is. Jeremy, the umbrella has returned.
It's not raining that hard, Mark, but it just makes for a tricky rest of the show if I wind up with a wetsuit and wet hair, and it's a whole thing. 48 degrees, and it says it's not raining, but it is warm. It does feel warm out here, but we do have wind picking up. Thankfully, not yet. Notice the umbrella not moving around. But as we move through the next few hours, wind is expected to get stronger. I think peak gusts will be around 30 miles per hour later on this evening. There's some of that moisture moving through, and behind this wave of moisture comes the wind. So this blank spot in the middle, right out in central Washington, is where the wind will be coming from. It's already blowing in central Washington, and it hits us overnight. I think it stays a bit breezy tomorrow morning, but we do wind up drying out. Our next wave of energy arrives tomorrow, late afternoon or early evening. We'll see those showers move in around the 5 o'clock hour, and with it comes our next round of heavier rain. That heavy rain hits Thursday night and Friday morning. Along with that rain, we can expect some stronger wind gusts once again. Things will eventually dry out by Friday afternoon and take us into a nice dry weekend ahead. But with that drying pattern, there's a lot to talk about when we get to the weekend. For now, though, 53 and rainy tomorrow, 50 with morning showers on Friday.
All right, sounds good. Jeremy will check back in with you later in the show tonight. The counting continues in yesterday's election, and tonight we have some new updated numbers to report. We start with the race for Spokane City Council. And Race. Current council member Zach Sapone is running against Christopher Savage. Right now, Sapone has about 54% of the vote compared to Savage's 46%. Now to the race for District 2, where newcomers Kate Tellis and Alejandro Barrientos are running for an open council seat. Tellis taking a big lead with about 60% of the vote. Meantime, Barrientos has about 40%. Now to the final and closest race for City Council. That's District number 1. Candidate Sarah Dixit is taking on incumbent Jonathan Bingle. Right now, Dixit is only trailing Bingle by 184 votes. Cheers and excitement last night from supporters of the Together Spokane initiative as they saw the initial returns. Together Spokane is the partnership between parks and schools. Well, here is a look at those numbers tonight. First, the $240 million parks levy. Right now, that is passing, as you can see, with just about 55% of the vote. Remember, a levy only needs a simple majority of 50% to pass. Now taking a look at that $200 million public school bond, it is also passing with almost 61% voting in favor. Bonds, by the way, need 60% voter approval in order to pass. School leaders say if both measures pass, they are ready to start work on day one. And now to our night beat with a quick look at today's top stories. One person is dead, 9 others are injured following a rollover crash near Omak early on Saturday morning. A 21-year-old driver has been arrested and charged with vehicular homicide and assault. Based on the scene and statements, the sheriff's office says they believe 11 people were in the vehicle when it flipped. They say empty alcohol containers were also found both in the car and around the scene. The driver has been arrested and booked into the Okanagan County Jail. He pleaded not guilty in court today. A levy meant to fund the Shoshone County Sheriff's Office appears to be failing at this hour. Right now, the votes against the levy sit at nearly 56%. Interim Sheriff Len Stutsky says due to budget constraints at the county level, the Sheriff's Office may see a total reduction of $500,000 in their budget if the levy does not pass. The sheriff told us the office would have to cut patrols, jail positions, and dispatch positions. He says that would hurt public safety.
I've seen how bad our community can get when it's not policed properly. We've had some massive fentanyl busts here. We've actually made an arrest here where we raided a house and it was actually cartel related, where they were manufacturing weapons for the cartel.
Stutsky added this comes at a time when recruiting and retaining staff has been extremely difficult. The host of the Spokane-based exercise show Sit and Be Fit has passed away. Mary Ann Wilson founded the show that aired out of Spokane's PBS station starting back in the 80s. The show aired across the U.S. and reached an estimated 83 million households. You can still see that on TV. She was 87 years old. And that'll do it for your Night Beat. For more information on any of these stories, just head to our website. That's KREM.com. We'll take a quick break and be right back with more news and sports.